In the last series, they let Draven open one game and they regretted it instantly.
Yeah.
But now in this situation, we have to look at what JDG can first pick. And Zeri's still open and available, but they've lent heavily on prioritizing junglers for Kanavi.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a big adaptation we saw in their last series, where after they lost their first 2 games, it seems like they really heavily indexed into being like, hey, we need engage. Because if we get ahead and we don't have Kanavi on something like a Wukong, we just have no ways of starting fights. And Ox, this is something we were looking at yesterday of just the prio on Lucian between these 2 AD carries, not really minding giving that Zeri over because they know how important it is to have that control in the bot lane 2v2.
And they want to be able to spike sooner. The big thing with Zeri is 3 items, you're a monster, that's when you take over the game. With Lucian Nami is that mandate on the Nami, but also the 1 to 2 item spike for the Lucian, and they want that agency. So the expectation for JDG, probably going to be Zeri Lulu here with Yumi banned. Lulu also doing a good job of mitigating some of that trading power from the Lucian Nami.
And now I'm curious to see where top esports go here, because you would expect the Vi to come out, considering that the Zeri's on the opposite side. But you're also curious to see how much TS put value into QingTian's champion pool, so they are going to go the expected route. But again, you're bringing in this different top laner. It feels like they must have something in the cards to make sure he's a comfortable time up at top side.
So walk me through on the other side, though, for JDG. We've already seen a Rise Band going up against Yagao, one of his favored picks in the past. But we know also JDG have relied on 369, and it's important to bring the context of the matchup into it as well.
Yeah, I feel like 369 having a good matchup has been a massive factor. Often with Wayward, instead of leaving when top piece was on red side, for anyone who doesn't know, they won red side 4 out of 5 games in their last series against JDG.
Wow.
They would often pick up things like the Gnar maybe on 4 for Wayward, but here I feel like maybe they leave that last pick for QingTian, give him a good matchup into JDG. And interestingly enough, this would never really happen with Wayward. The Aatrox is banned away from him. They respect that, despite it being such a good pick for 369.
Yeah, and I feel like it just does go back to that comfort for QingTian. When he came into the LPL, he was primarily known as an Aatrox player.
Yep.
But for TS, I kind of agree with what Ox is saying, right? Look towards mid, try and get QingTian in a comfortable position. We still have both Ahri, Taliyah, heck, even Lissandra still up on the board. You know, one of those 3 picks is what we expect TS to go towards. We have seen Knight, I think, lean a little bit more towards Lissandra. And just between these 2 teams, there was actually like a decent amount of Lissandra prio in second phase of bans last time.
I feel like a big thing for me is having someone who can follow up on the Vi, because the Vi alone not always enough to lock down and kill Zeri. But if you have like an Ahri there to follow, things like Lissandra, even a Taliyah, if a Taliyah can be in position to use that seismic shove on the target who's been locked in place, can be super potent.
And we're talking a little bit about that combination. I like you guys brought up the Ahri. That was one of the last bans away by JDG. But now, as you said, putting QingTian in a comfortable position, maybe getting Knight something strong. We've seen things like the Lissandra come through. Hasn't been his best, but still been a staple in the LPL.
But still just being able to follow up, like Ox said, we still do have this Taliyah on the board as well. And top esports gonna save that counter pick, so not just necessarily wanting to get something like a Gnar on the board, but heck, that could even open up for JDG to want to do the same, take that away. 369 has had stellar performances on that all split.
Yep.
And now we're getting some of the hovers through mid. I think Lissandra is one of the more like expected meta champions, but we need to remember it is Yagao. Yagao is one of the best LeBlanc players we have in the league, and it was a matchup we were seeing a little bit in the regular season.
Yeah, definitely if you can find the right angle with things like LeBlanc, even the Ahri as well, you have the ability to get around the Unraveled Earth, but we do see the Lissandra. That's the thing, your E, when you recast it and go to where the claw is, it's a blink. Doesn't get stopped by the Unraveled Earth, and obviously you've already got a few dash champions with Wukong, with Zeri. Don't want to add more to that. Now, the interesting thing is what 369 is going to take, because I feel like you really want to heavily invest into the bot side in this game, and you know that QingTian is going to have a counter matchup, so maybe picking something where he can just be stable in lane, and they actually end up going for the Kennen, so you know, we'll see if QingTian has something that he wants to offer into this where he can try and apply pressure. It is a ranged champion, so something that can close the gap can go the long way.
Yeah, QingTian has someone I've been seeing in solo queue, has been like testing out some not obscure picks, but has been playing things like the Gragas and things we haven't actually been seeing as much in playoffs. Gnar, something we've talked about a lot. You know, this is thought of as the losing end of the matchup if they did want to opt into it. And for people who don't know, QingTian is a Darius player. That's why we see the smiles on stage. And honestly, we aren't really getting anything out of left field. This meta does feel like it has been a little bit telegraphed, but I like JDG still committing to the Gnar, because even though we talked about them wanting to play more down towards bot side, that still just doesn't feel like the essence of JDG to me, Ox. It feels like JDG do so well getting 369 on something that can find pressure and play for that top lane.
And I feel like when international fans have watched 369 grow, starting on top esports in 2019, this is one of the few champions that really defines his career. Insane performances like the Shy. And also, I wanted to come back to you and talk a little bit about JDG's comp, because even though we're going down a mainstream direction in the LPL, we do have some different elements debuting in Game 1 of our Grand Finals.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's fantastic engage tools for for JDG, and you have the Zeri Lulu, right? That combination that can scale so incredibly well. We saw the flip side of this in that game 2 last time they played, when they were able to weather the storm, and we saw JackeyLove absolutely pop off. So now it's in Hope hands. If they can weather the storm in the bot lane, or maybe get themselves ahead, team fighting will be a really big strength for them.
Yeah, I think especially like you said, that mid-game spike can come on really strong. But looking over to TES, I feel like it's a lot more about how you hit on earlier for the Lucian. It's being able to hit that power point a little bit earlier. Once Gale Force, once Mandate come online, by that point we'll have Weaver's Wall as well, and we can look to see Knight linking up with the bot lane, because for TS it has been a lot more playing around that bottom half of the map.
And I feel like if it does come to fight, rather than just like a straight, okay, we want a 5v5, using the pick power of the Vi, the Taliyah, the Lucian would be a big aspect for them.
As we get into game number 1, ladies and gentlemen, it is such a pleasure to be back with you here in the studio in Paris. Thanks to OTP for hosting us, but thank you to hosting us for such a glorious battle ahead. JDG and Top Esports, every single time they have been in the grand final in the LPL, it has gone to 5 games. This is the 2020 rivalry, rebrewed, as Asheen was saying on the desk. It is 1 apiece. Championship in spring for JDG, championship in summer, leading to first seed for Top Esports. And now we dive into the decider to break the tie, to break the mold, and decide our first seed at Worlds and our next domestic champion of the LPL 2022.
And one thing we've seen from both of these teams, like you said, we've seen this final before in 2020, but also 4th time in finals for both of these teams. So far, they are both 1 and 2, obviously taking 1 apiece against each other.
Yep.
Top Esports played against RNG earlier this year. It went to 5 games. That should have been a final they were looking to win with the amount of leads they picked up. So looking for that retribution as well. And at JDG going all the way back to 2019 when they made that miracle run.
Dude, it was crazy. The Imp roster 2019, JackeyLove slapped them 3-0, man. So maybe JDG is an organization looking for a bit of a revenge as well. And a quick fun fact before we get into this as well, 369, JackeyLove, both of these players have never missed playoffs. And here they stand yet again, defining the LPL in recent years. Now, Orcs, I want to start with you. You already talked to us a little bit about JDG, you know, getting through that bottom lane in the Zeri. And as Lyric said, pick potential for Top Esports. And you also diced in and how they can pick apart the pieces. Walk me through the early laning phase. Maybe bottom lane is the best place to go.
Yeah, so level 1 for Lucian Nami isn't the strongest. Level 3 is really where you can start to apply pressure. But obviously you have to be respectful. If you burn your burst onto the Lulu's shield, you can end up being caught out in the extended trades. I do think that really the thing we're looking for from Top Esports is not so much just lane dominance, but once Knight has that level 6, making the 4-man lean bots, making the big plays happen, and trying to shut out Hope from the game.
I feel like that's one of the big things too, right? Because we don't see a lot of junglers playing around mid in this meta, which I get because mid's not a carry role, but it is surprising to me in the fact that a lot of mid laners right now do offer setup and offer CC, Lissandra obviously being a great one, and JDG have been one of the teams to prioritize mid a little bit more. So if JDG, I think, can lean a little bit more towards mid and shut down the ability for Knight to move, even if it's as simple as getting vision, that would be huge for the side of JDG in shutting down TES.
I think as well, if you can start to burn summoners, it makes it so hard to roam, because as soon as you walk in the fog of war, you walk in the jungle, especially if they have denied the vision, there's liable opportunity for a Wukong and a Lissandra to pick a Taliyah. It's so hard to play against that duo.
Especially when we've been talking about Knight as well. Getting picked apart has been a bit of a trend so far in playoffs. Kanavi coming to the top side, gents, but he will be spotted by a ward.
Yeah, still though, we see exactly what we thought, right? 369 stacking waves. Kanavi already putting this, and Hysterics looks like they might go for a dive.
Yeah, the dive onto the newbie in the finals. Welcome back, 369 instant plat. That was an easy prediction, but Tian has a response of his own. JackeyLove and Mark stepping forward as Missing and Hope get flashed upon, but Tian hasn't made his engage onto Missing. Battered against the wall. Top Esports have numbers advantage, but do they have the damage to flash forward? So close. Missing survives, and Top Esports will not have a response.
So well played by JDG, baiting them out to the last second. And look at the summoners burned by Top Esports. So many more invested into that play, and the fact that we see the advantage for JDG on the top side, but Top Esports can't answer, is fantastic for JDG.
Right, and especially the fact that Hope still has that flash up. So sure, you can look for the repeat ganks. Maybe a play is able to come through, but Hope should still have that survivability between his dash, between his flash, to be able to get away. And we're going to look at the replay top side first and see just really nice setup coming out from this dive. 369 got the wave set up, and then the flash to just guarantee the damage coming out soon. Make sure Kanavi doesn't take too much damage from the turret on the dive, and and just executing it well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, QingTian trying to get level 3, trying to get Mega Gnar as well, so we'd have the stunt off for a bit more health. Wasn't able to get the Mega Gnar, and also he hit level 3, but he was stunned and died immediately after, so wasn't really able to do anything with it.
At least was able to keep his flash, though, because QingTian's going to get a bit of support up here, but Tian thinking about whether he should go.
Yeah, and Tian's going to look for it, but Wave's pushing into 369 right now, so as long as he can weather this a little bit.
Oh, there's a good start up. 369 being the cheekiest of the Devils as we get the Vault Breaker on in. 369 in the 1v2, that flash was burnt before, and Tian comes in for the punish.
And this is the thing with these early ganks. It's not just about what happens in the initial gank, it's about what you do on the repeat when looking at those summoners being down. So even though JDG got the positive play on the top side, because 369's flash was down, able to punish.
I think 369 also felt comfortable, right? Because we just saw Wave was going into him. He's thinking, okay, this is going to be fine, but just a little too far up, especially, like you said, with no flash, and is going to be punished. So nice by Top Esports to be investing a little bit more in top side than we saw last time, because we know in this bot lane 2v2, even without jungle intervention, this was going back and forth last time, Mox. I mean, heck, game 1, we had a solo kill at level 3.
Yeah, and I feel like JackeyLove in particular has been a player who will always look for any window, any opportunity to punish. We saw that when he went up against EDG in the most recent series, trying to find solo kills onto Viper. Sometimes it didn't work because there was backup for Viper. Sometimes it did to great effect.
It's always in his nature, right? JackeyLove's just one of those 80 carries, and I feel like Hope has started coming along the narrative as well. Has been a big highlight on JDG. I'm sure as we go through, it will be another. Kanavi now moving to the mid lane, though, and Lyrical talking about this a bit. Not as much focus towards Yagao's lane, but at least getting control.
JDG have been the best team at playing with mid-jungle in the LPL this split, which,
well said.
Again, it's kind of crazy to think when you had duos coming in like Rookie and Carson. When you have Knight and Tian picking up the split MVP, the Yagao and Kanavi having that synergy built in.
Close.
Kanavi does have to be a little bit careful, though, just trying to hover around and make sure Yagao can get this push. And it looks like they're already setting up for a potential fight around top scuttle.
Let's see if it goes into anything, because Kanavi with a health bar disadvantage. Knight is level 6 with the Weaver's Wall available, but Yagao has the Glacial Tomb. I want to point out as well, Tian getting that kill before was able to get the Caulfield's Warhammer, so being able to match as well. As we look back at the bottom lane, JackeyLove stepping a bit too far forward, but Top Esports are okay for now.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is the fact that Tian having no flash and Yagao having his ultimate. The Weaver's Wall isn't really going to do much for you in that 2v2, so if Yagao comes in, flashes, ult Tian, he is just dead, and it would be just another advantage for JDG. So not opting to go for that. We do see JackeyLove managing to aggressively push the lane in. Resets are coming in. Kanavi is leaning towards the top side of the map. And we'll see if they can find an angle on QingTian here. They do have Yagao to back them up.
And it looks like at the very least, even just going for this red buff, QingTian should be able to get out fine, and he luckily does.
Okay.
But yeah, just angling, getting the invade on the top side of the map. They've had a very nice vision line you can see in topside river. They spotted Tian when he did start to hover around that bot side, and kind of getting this, not exactly a split map scenario, right, but still TES realizing what they have to do, prioritizing down towards that bot side to look to probably make a counterattack, since JDG are really setting up to make this play on top.
And look how rough the wave is for QingTian. What are you supposed to do here? You've just been your ultimate in this situation. You have to push up and try and crush the wave in, but he's going to get picked apart here, I feel. Kanavi's looking.
Double ulti available. QingTian's flash is there, but is it worth burning? Yes, it is. Kanavi will not be able to follow up. Meanwhile, action again. What we expected is Hope gets bursted out, but there's no follow through. JackeyLove survives too, but he's got the cease and desist and a flash available. Let's kill Hope and take it away from JDG at the same time. Knight comes in with the Weaver's Wall, but still Hope is buying time. Old shock laser not connecting, but missing, tanking up for now. JackeyLove just hits him away with a couple of quick shots and 2 kills for Top Esports. That's how the game gets rolling.
So well played. You see Tian initially goes for the engage, but he knows he doesn't have to commit to tower aggro now. They bring the wave in. They know support isn't quite there yet, and they're able to pick up both kills, even with the summoners available to JDG, and now we'll turn towards that dragon.
And great start for them, right? TS being a team we've talked about, really like to get that insurance policy rolling early on, but we'll see here how it starts up. Mark buffing up JackeyLove to go in. Sure, he does get polymorphed, but the burst had already come now, and just like Ox said, right? Tian realizes he doesn't need to overcommit. Weaver's Wall's here, just wait for the wave to crash.
Yeah, I mean, so excellently played, and the fact that not only they get those kills for being the summoners could have knock-on effects. We did see them take that early Infernal Dragon, which is obviously going to pay off a lot more in the later stages, but JDG will answer with that Herald.
And we've seen this dichotomy between these two teams, right? JDG, since they do love to just finish games fast, they don't really prioritize the Dragons as much. It's all about stacking up the gold lead. TES have done this really cool adaptation this year where they still like that gold lead, but if they can get the Drakes rolling early on, they know they have the laning phases to get the gold lead for themselves, so have that insurance policy ready.
And it looks like JDG with another another good read, right? Top versus bot seems to be the starting of this finals as they are committing absolutely everyone up here. And QingTian
literally everyone.
Pay respect, he does.
Yeah, I mean, this is so good for JDG. The fact they have the Herald means even with the cross map coming out, you're going to be able to trade up. And the fact that they have Hope there to pick up the plates, really going to favor them. They could even try and lean this into a tier 2 as well if they use the Herald, because no one's really there to defend for top esports.
No, I mean, just, you know, JDG doing a nice job. Not only doing this to get plates first, but also they're dodging out on the matchup. The matchup that they are now starting to struggle in, now not having those summoners on board. And it looks like no one from TS even going to be able to answer the second charge.
As you both said, in a turret now, possibility here. A lot of damage to follow through, and JackeyLove is still solo hitting the turret. 369 moving to the bottom lane to match, and QingTian will be here, but the damage seems to be already done.
Yeah, you can see Knight and Tian coming over. If they can defend this tier 2, this isn't actually too bad for them, because ultimately the gold will still be locked into that. And the big thing to note is that there were multiple members taking that plate gold, that tower gold on the top side. It was 3 for JDG. JackeyLove has picked up a ton of solo gold. So yes, JDG are up in gold marginally, but JackeyLove is going to be very strong.
And that's going to be huge, especially as we go into these mid-game fights, right? Because we can see for JackeyLove already really close to that Mythic coming online, now sitting on all this gold, even having a serrated Dirk to be able to get more damage to come through. This is going to be the power
Oh, he
spike.
does it, he does it. He's waiting for his slicing maelstrom in the 1v2. 369 so close, but he's punished. Old teammates do it better.
Oh, such an aggressive play from 369. I completely respect it, but this is one of the main things Kennen has issue with. Exhaust coming out on the opposite side, shutting down that damage, meaning he just didn't quite have enough to take out Mark. And they do manage to pick up
Yagao.
Yeah, there's a Vault Breaker over the wall. Tian misses, Seismic Shove does too. Yagao now re-engaging. The Glacial Tomb stealing down top esports, getting punished for the play. Tian tries to re-engage, but it's already over. Kanavi picking up that kill as Knight tries to run away, and JDG with a quick counter punch.
I'm just really surprised to see Tian commit to that play, because if 369 is going that aggressive in the bot lane, I think you can assume that reinforcements are coming online. Top esports bot lane had just gone for a reset, so you're really just committing to that pick when you don't know how many numbers from JDG are there.
Yeah, I feel like especially when it's against the Lissandra, you have such a small margin for error before it can be messy. And we see the play coming out here, exhaust coming in, certainly does save Mark. There's no other way to spin that one. But managing to turn it around. And now we got to look at the items that have just come out. Mandate is finished for Mark, and we also have the Gale Force plus Dirk. This is when this Lucian Nami combo is so strong, and anyone who steps up to contest this mid-wave, if you move a little bit out of tower, I'm certain that JackeyLove will try and burst you down.
And it's been a thing we're seeing across the board, right? Is even when we said JDG are going to prioritize more towards top and TS towards bot, I mean, QingTian's up in farm. Bot lane is up in farm for top esports. Knight up as well. Just sure, JDG having 2 mythics come up, the Everfrost and Divine Sunderer, but not being able to match what top esports have picked up just yet.
And with comps, we talked a lot about the bottom lane, you know, getting through, team fighting for JDG, the mid game. The pick potential for top esports was also mentioned, but right now, as Orc's already established, the strength of JackeyLove is huge. Knight with his first item there too, and we've got Dragon coming up in a minute.
And look at this setup here, with the control ward, with the vision swept. If Hope walks up to that wave, he dies. Just an absolute certainty that is what's going to happen. So really hard to contest mid-prio, and if you can't get mid-prio, very hard to move into the Dragon area to try and contest that in a minute.
And I love this because you look at the mini-map on where Knight is, top esports are kind of looking to play around 2 lanes. Knight hovering, fishing, seeing if there's opportunities on top side because he has the Weaver's Wall available. If not, he could start just making his way down towards bot like we're seeing now, and them having that vision already kind of established. JDG, though, doing the right thing. They got push in bot with Yagao, which still gives them an avenue to river, and has given them some vision control around that bottom half of the map.
Feels like right now we're still focusing here mid for the last minute, though. Plating available as JackeyLove was able to pick up a piece by himself. Top esports, still we continue that conversation about vision. It's never ending. Waiting in the same brush, waiting by mid, 15 seconds towards Dragon.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if JDG opt to try and contest this Dragon or try and just secure control on the top side of the map. Herald is going to be up in a minute 30, so maybe that is a trade-off they make. If they do go for the fight, however, you got to note that Mark's exhaust isn't quite available, so maybe an opportunity for Yagao at 369 to make something happen. But from where Kanavi's positioning, it looks like they are going for that top side lane. Maybe can threaten that tier 2.
I think it's really smart, right? Because we see 369 has no flash. flash in Rocket Belt still isn't finished. You have no vision behind enemy lines as Hope luckily does get out of there. But for JDG, you can't opt into the fight. I think there's no easy access to getting Kennen onto the top esports members right now. So TES can just keep looking to play on the spots that they're going to get this dragon for free and keep fishing for those opportunities in mid, because now Gale Force and Culling online, you could very easily just take Hope out, 100-0.
And so we stick to what we know. Dragons for top esports, top side again for JDG. There's another Herald in about 45 seconds. And Orcs, I wanted to ask you about how JDG transition now, because we're moving towards the mid game, top esports, with a bit of a gold lead, but nothing too significant. And we were talking a lot about these mid-game fights, about the Zeri, the Lissandra as well, even 369 on the Kennen and how he comes in.
I think it might still be too risky. I just don't think JDG have enough power, especially on the Zeri at this point. If they see a window where maybe top esports overcommit to the top side, they can find like a good angle for the Kennen and Lissandra, sure, but even the Kennen hasn't even completed that rocket belt yet, so maybe instead of leaning towards the top side, they back away, they start to put pressure on the bot side of the map, maybe they can look for that tier 1 there and try and trade across map. Time isn't as big of an issue for JDG because they have that Zeri, that Lulu as an insurance policy, and if you take a fight for this Herald and lose, the game might just be over.
Yeah, we could see now, I think for TS should start looking to push that vision line up, because it seems like JDG realized everything Ox is saying. You can look very defensive vision in their own jungle. They don't really need to overcommit anywhere. Top esports being the ones in the driver's seat right now, push into that top side. QingTian already catching that wave right now. Start getting your own vision down and try and force that fight for Herald. But now, with 369 having Rocket Belt up on the board, they might be willing to take it, Ox.
And also, you got to note, it's a Hextech Soul. Hex Gates on the map, really good for champions like Kennen and Lissandra. Typically, you see the TP coming in to get them in the back line. But if you can gate behind, that could cause massive issues for top esports.
The flanking angle's huge, already talked about, but as 369 heads to the top side, it might be the pick before the neutral. QingTian getting mobbed up, he ults backwards, but he's still in a 1v2. Teleport being committed by JDG as well. QingTian going back to his team as Kanavi ults for the second time. That's now down as 369 proto belts as a threat, but that exhaust Orcs was talking about is up and available for Mark. We watch Hope enter in as JDG start asserting dominant.
Oh, QingTian!
In the nick of time, he flashes out QingTian's cord. He wasn't able to get a successful back goal.
Or is he?
And 369, the flash over Kanavi gets him, and JDG find the pick.
And huge coming out from JDG. I mean, just, the onus to check that brush. Had that recall come out, the TP could have come in. And then JDG were in this weird position where, like, Hope and Missing are on the opposite side of the fight. Luckily for TS, they at least are able to pick up mid-turret. And JDG committed so much to that pick, it actually opens up TS to get Rift Herald.
Yeah, I think if you look at the left side of your screen, Missing's been his ultimate, Hope has been his, Missing also chunked out, and the culling is down from JackeyLove. I think while that was happening, they actually punished the bot lane, forced them away, and that's why JDG, despite the good pick, which is a positive, still not in a position to contest that Herald, and we'll get the replay coming out. Yeah, this is what I expect to have happened.
Yeah, and we saw here, right? Them able to chunk out around the mid lane, forcing Missing to blow that ult. And here, I actually thought JDG were in a bit of an awkward position because AD carry support separated from the team. If QingTian gets this reset off, he can TP back in, try and build up that rage bar once again. But JDG realized they checked the brush, Weavers come out, and now with no flash, QingTian just left in no man's land.
It's unfortunate. Last couple of seconds of the back as well as we get a response turret from JDG as we come back to live in a small gold lead. But remember, we've been close all game long.
I gotta say though, right, top esports are the ones with the 2 early dragons. They got the second Herald. It feels like they're the ones setting the pace, but JDG answering back so well, getting that kill onto QingTian, getting that bot lane tier 1. They have a Zeri on their team. The fact that they're trading in this way does seem very positive for them.
But in comparison, let's not forget JackeyLove now with the rapid fire cannon. Serrated Dirk still sits there. This Lucian is very strong.
Yeah, I mean, if they find the windows to make this Lucian work, and it is about setting up that vision, looking for those picks, challenging when you see someone isolated. They're making a big lean towards his topside tower, but oh man,
again. Welcome back to top esports. As he gets locked down, JDG making it so he's not going anywhere, and he's getting the fresh bullying from the old top laner of top esports too. As JackeyLove walking into Kanavi, Hope's there as well. Ultra Shock Laser not going to connect as he flashes out with culling. He's going to set up for the re-engage. Tian not pulling the trigger though, as JDG still end with a pick for themselves. But Herald topside, guys, is something to note.
Yeah, top esports going to be able to get this charge as well. You can see Yagao and Missing coming off onto the map to try to respond. But top esports are just going to get this one outright. Nice job on the disengage as well to make sure that JDG couldn't find any sort of pick.
Yeah.
And now we just end up with a 1 kill for 1 turret trade. Top esports feel like they're feeling pretty all right about this.
Yeah, I will say though, we have a Hextech Dragon in 45. It would be 3rd for top esports. I know without doubt these teams are going to fight for this.
Yeah.
And JackeyLove just had his flash burned. right? So coming in that fight, Yagao with Flash, 369 with Flash available. If those threats can get on top of JackeyLove, that could be a team fight win for JDG. And if they manage to secure that Dragon and deny away from top esports, they buy a lot of time as well as some fantastic stats for the Zeri with that attack speed and ability haste.
I feel like a huge thing as well, since JDG made the play towards bot, top esports now are the ones who have to come and reclaim vision. JDG already had the setup there. Luckily for TES, able to overload the side of the map first, since JDG did have to respond to the Herald play. So a lot of back and forth, Dragon coming online now. I think we need to keep our eyes, like Ox said, on players like Yagao and 369, able to get on top of JackeyLove. But for TES, I'm looking at QingTian because his rage bar pretty much stacked up.
And he's got a Trinity Force as well. A lot of items we can talk about after, depending on how we go. Ultra Shock Laser with Yagao.
There's the flank.
Using the Hex Gates. That's what Orcs talked about, but the whole of top esports are waiting. He has a stopwatch, though. Stopwatch not going to work. 369 forces JackeyLove out. The team fight for 369 has already been set up as JackeyLove's down. JDG opening up massively. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but as the flash comes away from Knight, Jing Dong stands strong in the blood. Continues to rain from this team.
Top esports got a Dragon. That's all they wanted. Then it ends up being a 1-for-1. JackeyLove got chunked out by 369. You see, without the flash, it caused issues, but maybe no ATN. You got the Dragon. Be happy. You got what you wanted.
I do gotta say, though, like you're saying, since TS did get the Dragon, even just coming to this game in a neutral point feels really good for them. This is the flank that Ox was setting up. Yagao is able to buy a ton of time, goes golden immediately so it doesn't get stunned and locked down. And then JDG realized, no flash on JackeyLove. We need to all in on their major carry, who is at that 2-item point. He goes down, but still, Yagao might have bought a ton of time, but he's still just left in the arms of the other team. And sadly follows the fate of JackeyLove.
Well, top esports set up for success then. 4 minutes until we get the soul, and it's a Hextech soul against the Zeri.
Yeah, I mean, Hextech Soul is such a powerful one. The slow can be so impactful in fights for kiting, but also the extra damage. I think the significant thing is we talk about the Zeri 3-item spike. Zeri is not going to have 3 items by the time that next Dragon happens. And JDG, I feel like, you know, you're going to get the second item spike, but you need to try and approach this next Dragon and think, how can we ensure that no matter what happens, we win the fight and deny the Dragon from top esports?
I feel like looking at recent series as well, top esports should be feeling even better because sure, in game 5 of their last series, JDG came back from a huge gold deficit, but still, we've now seen, you know, their 3-0 against LNG, the first 4 games against top esports, where JDG were this team who relied on getting a lead and then struggled in mid-game, as we don't get to talk about that because 369...
Wall's good, he's got no flash, but it's just a second late. Knight with a seismic shove, dodged nicely as old buddies face off. Knight just has to watch him leave while top esports pick is unsuccessful.
I love that they're focusing him now because we did see, in not only the trash talk videos, but the interviews leading up, both 369 and Knight, they wanted to meet each other in finals. Yeah. They both want to be the one to send the other a second seed.
JackeyLove stepping forward, the culling, missing has the ulti, gets sped up and luckily to survive meanwhile.
And this is what top esports composition loves to do, can do. Look for those pick angles, the Reaver's Wall to lean into the side lane, and then the opportunity if Lucian dashes forward, trying to burst out, missing there.
And I think especially look now, a whole item up for JackeyLove, having that collector now online. Yeah. I mean, JDG have to be afraid.
Yeah, it is so scary. Anyone, I feel like, there's not really any tanky members. Wukong is a little bit bulky, but I feel like anyone who gets caught out by JackeyLove, who he gets a full burst combo onto, will either be dead or licking their wounds.
As we meanwhile look towards bottom lane, QingTian just playing the lane lyric. He said it before, he's still sitting on a CS lead despite the bullying. At least JDG will find a response, but you know, for top esports, they're still going to maintain this gold lead and more of the map wide open.
I mean, for JDG right now, right? Like the map set up cool, trying to like navigate finding these picks, but everything just leading to that timer we see in the top left-hand corner, right? Everything is building up to that fight for soul because JDG, there's no universe they can give it over. And for top esports, even ignoring them getting the Dragon, right? They hold all the cards. If they don't have the setup, if they don't have the vision, they can make plays of like baiting Baron or leaning towards the top side. They have so many options.
I will say though, the timer that is the Zeri, that's the thing that you're concerned about. If you give over this Hextech Dragon to JDG, maybe the next one,
as speaking of the Zeri actually getting caught out in the mid lane, not burning the flash, but yeah, that's still JackeyLove being talked about in the spotlight in the AD carry matchup.
That's painful, but again, it'll get to the point where if Hope has a Infinity Edge, he'll pop a W and he'll do about that much damage to anyone on top esports, so...
As over the wall, hang on, we're going to pause again, JDG, but turning it back around, JackeyLove went forward on that one! Never retreats, Lyric. I feel like we talk about that all the damn time with this AD.
And just look wherever it is on the map. No one nearby. I guess Mark was behind him, but Knight's on top side. QingTian's chilling in bot lane. JackeyLove's trying to find all the advantages for top esports by himself.
And the problem is, right, as much as JackeyLove will be back up for the Dragon fight, he'll be alive. He just been Flash. He just been cleansed.
Oh, yeah.
The big thing for JDG is getting on this backline. If you get your Kennen and Lissandra onto these pivotal carries, they'll do this.
I mean, what is there to say? He dashes forward. Sure, still has a flash available, but you have so many ways of following up on the Lucian. The speed up coming from missing. Kanavi still with another dash. Didn't even have to blow his own flash. And now here we go, contesting vision leading up to Drake.
So as we talked about it, like you guys mentioned, summoners, because JackeyLove now heading on in. Has a stopwatch, though, worth talking about as Tian sends into the front line. 20 seconds till that Dragon. Top Esports still fighting. Orcs mentioned 369. He's not warded out. Top Esports don't know yet.
Checking.
He's in the brush. And Tian just feels it. Onto 369. Slushy Maelstrom comes out early. But stopwatch for JackeyLove. Burnt out, but no summoners, Orcs. That's a big deal. JDG now have a 4 versus 4 with no JackeyLove.
Yeah, the stopwatch was great to buy time for JackeyLove, but no flash to get out. 4v4, but you've lost a hyper-fed Lucian. Top Esports still want to try.
QingTian has his ultimate available and flash, but he's now out of Mega Gnar. Dragon being hit hard as hope is still there. Kanavi engage. Yagao's flank was even better. Exhausted out as this Wukong, but Mark will get bopped on the head. Hope running forward, doing Zeri things earlier than expected. Knight does so much work, though, as QingTian turns it around, ready to force auto attack. Down Lissandra, QingTian, the new top laner coming back in, and repping Top Esports for a close battle.
And we can see it's just like the last time these two teams faced off. Everything is on a knife's edge. JDG looked like they had the coordination, but Top Esports somehow still brought it back.
Yeah, they managed to turn it around. I thought this flank that came out from Yagao would have been enough, but we first see the initial play, and JackeyLove here dashes, and then the stopwatch does buy enough time, but if he had flash here, he'd actually be able to maybe get out, maybe do something more. But it's this extended play, the angle Yagao finds with this claw, so fantastic to set up Kanavi. But the one problem is they're running straight towards Top Esports, and Knight gets so much value here because he just throws down the Unraveled Earth and keeps pumping damage onto everyone on JDG.
I mean, just look at it. Q's constantly hitting members of JDG, not able to do anything. But we're back at the Dragon Dance. Flash still not up for JackeyLove.
Yeah, because it wasn't taken in the last fight as JDG peeled off. Now we get to dance yet again. Top Esports start this one, but Yagao, Hexgate usage again, an option. Knight's waiting by his side, though, as Dragon starts getting hit. 369 has flash, has ulti. Mark's exhaust is not up. There's a great Weaver's Wall, sections him off. But now that it's down with the culling coming through, 369 launches on in, a tidal wave as a good retribution. But 369's taking down JackeyLove. Knight's next as Yagao carrying the force. Jingdong get altered into the wall, but Top Esports are unraveled, and Jingdong are right back in.
They're gonna get the Dragon, go straight to the Baron. They got everything they wanted in the fight, and once again, backline access onto JackeyLove. He went a bit aggressive, looking for damage on a missing, and it cost them everything.
Constantly being punished, but now finally able to turn that Baron, start finding that lead. And the thing I love about JDG is just the coordination. I thought Knight did so well here. Once again, the wall comes out, but JDG are waiting for their moment, and 369 finds it. Yagao coming in on the flank. Just really nice coordination. Look how much damage was down by the Slicing Maelstrom. JackeyLove, like you said, Ox, too far forward. It doesn't matter if QingTian finds this nice ultimate, all of his damage is gone.
And the thing is, because Knight gets caught in that clump as well, it's not like he can do the damage in the rest of the fight. Everyone on the backline goes down, and now we just saw Hope get a triple kill. He's gonna have an Infinity Edge as soon as he finishes recall.
There it is.
Yeah, I feel like we mentioned the timer. It's hit it.
I guess you guys like Eurobeat as much as I, because this deja vu in Game 1. Game 1 of the semi-finals. Remember, Top Esports early game, set up the win con. Mid-game, JDG come back. I don't know how we're going to end this story, but Game 1 is already delivering in our grand final with such a bloody adventure, with the Dragon now delaying it out, as we talked about. As 369 not going to go in there, Lyric, but hey, 369 should feel more comfortable now with this Baron and the push.
Yeah, you can see them already setting up waves, setting up top wave as well, so they can start getting vision into the enemy jungle, potentially lean Yagao over and start putting some threat on with the claw. And like Ox was saying, right, the second the Infinity Edge comes out, what the W's going to do. Luckily for TS, I mean, you have a bit of healing coming out for Mark, but I don't know how long that's gonna do anything for you.
Yeah, I feel like it's not really enough. There's still potential for Top Esports in this game. They're not in a good spot. They're 3,000 gold down, and JDG are starting to destroy some structures, pick up some standing gold. Top Esports' goal here is just try and mitigate it. If you can pick someone, that might be enough.
Well, there's Weaver's Wall. 3 members are committing. No, look at the base in the meanwhile. They've killed 369, but as Tian uses everything, has to back away. JDG are gonna break some bridges.
And this is huge, right? Because now JackeyLove and Mark have to play back because JDG can dive this. If they walk too far forward, they're just going to outright get the turret. Damage still going down. Heck, it's 2. Yagao getting one at top side as well.
At least Tian now here, but he's used the ulti. Flash available as the Assault and Battery, or rather the Vault Breaker on the Q. Won't connect, so base wide open, and top esports getting burners. QingTian, I guess, wanted to find an angle.
Yeah, I think the game plan for top esports was if they kill 369, they get their tier 2 bot. But the main thing is, because JDG are now down a member, they don't want to fight. That's why you saw that TP coming in. They're trying to force a fight to happen as they're retreating, but ultimately, it was so costly. Look at the goal lead now, 4,000 in favor of JDG, and the damage done to the base, feeling painful for them.
Oh no, Hope, don't walk up!
He will. He's going to be lensed out as well. The Baron minions won't help him out too much.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, QingTian not pulling the trigger, nor was Tian.
No ult available for Tian yet. And because QingTian wasn't in Mega, I don't think they were confident to just jump over the wall, slamming.
They don't know where anyone else is,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. I feel like if you commit onto that and it goes wrong, you probably just lose the game, right, if they rush up mid, or at least lose a lot more on the map as well.
I like what you said hitting on earlier, right? Because JDG now clearly in the favorable position, 4K gold lead. But like Ox said, it's not doom and gloom, because I think one thing you can overlook is since the Taliyah rework, she's kind of been reworked into more of like a late game damage carry. A lot of her ratios, a lot of her scaling really good now. Again, especially like the damage coming out from things like the Boulder, the Unraveled Earth, can do so much in these clumped up fights.
I think the big thing is that the fight win cons are completely different. For top esports, they want to get that initial pick to start the fight off, and then they want to play front to back. They want to have Lucian trying to do as much damage as possible, mainly that Taliyah just chunking people out. For JDG, it's about getting on that backline. So yes, JDG are very far ahead, but they don't manage to shut down Knight, to shut down JackeyLove. That's where maybe we could see top esports find a window, and they are still one dragon away from Seoul.
That's very true. A minute 10 till that comes up, and we don't have a hard tank on JDG as well. So I want to talk about JackeyLove, but let's hold on that because Kanavi's waiting over the wall, spotted out by a ward, but 369 also hovering too. So top esports play the defensive game for now.
I think JDG just doing a great job playing out through 2 lanes. They already have supers pushing in top. They just need to set for these picks.
Tian just flashes in, Vault Breaker on to Hope. They want to kill him, excuse me. 369 on the Kennen, but he's ulti in response. Tian looked desperate.
That's 3 ultis used, not one pick foul.
Here's the response yet again. Yagao needs the distance, the glacial path taken. Everfrost onto JackeyLove doesn't connect as a culling. At max range, won't find a target, and JDG,
they're just gonna go for it.
Just taken mid-jungle.
Yeah, they can just try and end. I mean, I feel like when they still have 5 members available, bare minimum take this in here, but they actually have super minions in top.
They've TP on 369 off.
Yeah, this should be enough. I think they might have just ended the game.
We're not getting a response from semifinals, are we? It's a different script coming through as JackeyLove wants to stop Yagao, but with the TP in, with the 3 versus 5, JDG want to open the finals in a very different manner. As top esports now left with 1 Nexus turret. You look at the timer on Tian. Can they do it in 5 seconds with JackeyLove dead? Yes, they can. Jing Dong want to bring themselves into this final with more than respect, with the power of that mid-game that we talk so much about.
And it's great to see from JDG because I still had so many questions about how they play out through this mid game when they find the lead, right? Because we had that one game where they came back against TES, but every other game they haven't had to do that. So the fact that they were able to go into a mid-game neutral and still make some pretty intelligent decisions around like the cross-mapping that they were going for, knowing how to play out through these 2 lanes, was able to just work out so well.
I think despite the fact JackeyLove was so strong, they kept the trade, they kept making it an even game despite everything, and then that fight setup around the Hextech Dragon. Most teams wouldn't like to give over 3 dragons to the enemy team and then have to fight and it'd be all on whether or not you can succeed and deny the dragon.
JDG love it.
JDG love it. It's just another day in the office.
Running face first. I mean, we talked about JDG being kind of like an opposite of top esports. Remember, you and I, last time we actually cast this final, I think we were like, well, top esports really like blood. They really go for it. JDG smart skirmishes, like, we still saw smart skirmishing, but we saw so much aggression coming into that mid game, and we saw the fact that even though Zeri was behind, even though Hope was behind, they didn't really fear JackeyLove.
It's so weird to me, like, looking at this series and kind of honing in a little bit on top esports, because it feels like, okay, JDG, we literally know what they're going to do every game, every time, every situation. Top esports, it feels like right now, it's not necessarily like playing to the level of their opponent, but they're very willing to play into what their opponent wants to do. I think we can see that with drafts as well. Like, these fights want to pan out differently, but both compositions almost at all points in time have ways to like find fights and find picks. Same thing happened against EDG in my mind, where it's like, hey, if a team is going to posture in front of like TS and puff out their chest, top esports are like, no, I fight you.
And I think that's kind of something that they almost use to their benefit for JDG is that, you know, when there are moments where you know top esports wanted to pick, you see JackeyLove dashing forwards to get the damage off, JDG were ready. I think that's the thing, they were always ready, and you have to assume that with JDG. This is not a team who are going to back out of a fight. They will find an angle, find a window, and I think the dive buddies between 369, Kanavi, and Yagao did such a good job of making this game kind of unplayable for JackeyLove in the fight.
And it's kind of crazy because it did start with JackeyLove finding success and top side for 369 getting set up, the longer lane established with the Herald, but it was not about that. It was about how they came into the team fights and how Kanavi set up there on the Wukong.
One thing I really like about JDG, and we can even see it here on like their damage chart, is that JDG coming into playoffs is like one of the teams that I think have one of the most natural like spreads of who can carry, who can deal the damage. It's one of the reasons why like JDG are a team that it feels okay if one member gets set behind, to where for like TES, I mean, I guess JackeyLove or Knight didn't get set behind, but if they aren't able to carry the game, it feels like, okay, well, where do we go? The jungle role, not really set up to where you can be a primary carry. QingTian's obviously just coming in out of nowhere, only played one series in the regular season, and it's like, yeah, you're just relying, I think, on less threats than JDG has.
I think the thing is in a situation like this, where Lucian was that big carry we're looking for to do all the damage in the team fights, when you saw so many resources committed onto him, even if JackeyLove didn't die instantly, the fact he's chunked out, dashing away, baiting summoners,
dashing in,
sometimes baiting some dashes in, but it just means like maybe that's the frustration. He never got the window to carry because even if he doesn't go down, he can't team fight easily when he has 5 members focusing him.
It's such a rough game for him at the end, but at the very least for top esports, it started out exactly as how we wanted to. That was only game 1 of the grand finals, and you all know the history between top esports and JDG. Hopefully it continues as we go to a break to gear up for game 2.